Hello and welcome to episode 126, I think, of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. So I'm back. I took a little break after Vlogmas, but I'm doing better than last year because last year I don't think I podcasted after Vlogmas until like September or something. So doing better this year already. I wanted to pop on and do another little episode, and we're trying another nighttime episode just because that just seems to be the easiest to fit in. Dennis is out again. I just put Kira down to bed. She looks like she's just about to fall asleep, so hopefully she'll fall asleep sooner than the last time where she was just babbling away up there. I thought this would be a good time to do a little episode because I have been working on some things since the end of Vlogmas. I wanted to talk about my bingo card for 2023 and also my one for 2022 and just let you know how I ended up doing on that. I have a little smattering of things to share with you. So I thought I would start with the things that I had shared with you on my last regular episode that I've made progress on. Then I might briefly touch on some of the things that I finished at the end of the year during Vlogmas, just in case. I know a lot of you, I know there's only so many of you that watched the Vlogmas, and so if you didn't watch Vlogmas and you didn't see the things that I finished during the holiday season, I want to briefly touch on some of those. I have a little collage of the things that I finished over the entire year that I thought might be fun to share. And then I'll talk about the stuff that I've been working on this month since then, and then at the end we'll do kind of like a little bingo update for 2022 and also introduce my 2023 Crafty bingo goals. So I think the only thing that I have with me right now that I had also showed in the last episode is Dennis's socks. I had cast them on for the last episode and I had hoped to finish them for Christmas, but that just didn't happen. I had other things that I was working on, and quite frankly, these socks are very boring to work on, and just any other project that I either start or kind of catches my eye or that I have going, just I want to work on instead of, because these are they're kind of dull, especially after so many years of doing the Desert Vista Dyeworks socks challenge with those fun stripy sock patterns. Doing something without a striping pattern is it's kind of hard to work on. So I have made a little bit of progress on them though. So I think I had the first sock cast on and I was just about done the leg, and I was very close to starting the increases for the heel. That's basically, I have moved on past that, but not by much. So these are what they look like right now, and you can see if I turn them around. So I had gotten to about here the last time I shared these with you, and I have finished the heel increases. I have done the turn. I have joined them back in the round, and I've done just maybe 10 or so rows after joining them in the round. So I'm still working on the first sock. I have a feeling these are going to take me longer than I want them to. Like I said, I was kind of hoping to have them done for Christmas. That didn't happen. And now I'm thinking, I was like, maybe it would be really nice if I could get them done for Valentine's Day. But realistically, like February is just in a couple of days, the start of February. So that's like, 2 weeks and a bit. Can I finish this sock plus the second one in 2 weeks and a bit? That I don't know. But this is the yarn that I am using for his socks. So I've mentioned this several times before. For Dennis's socks, I really need to use the opals and the Regias and sock yarn like that hardy, really workhorse sock yarn, because his feet just eat the nicer stuff. So that's what I picked out for him. I think he's gonna like them, but they're kind of dull to work on, so they're gonna take a little longer. The other pair of socks that I was working on in the last episode was the ones for my brother for his Christmas socks, and I did finish those, and I did finish them before Christmas. So I will pop up a picture there in the corner of what those look like, and I knit those using the Knit Picks Static. And I thought that they had discontinued that, because I think when I was looking up information for that episode, I tried to find it on their website and there was like none to be found. And even when I like looked it up on Google and stuff like that, there was nothing to be found about it. And I was like, oh no, I really enjoyed working with that yarn. It looks like they've discontinued it. And then if you got the most recent little Knit Picks magazine catalog thing that they sent out, I noticed that they had it in there. It might be available now. I think at the time when I looked it up, it wasn't available quite yet. It was going to be later in January that it was available, but they've come out with new colors. And I have to say, it was a really enjoyable yarn to work with. It was really nice and soft, and I really liked the kind of, non-standard patterning, the striping pattern. It wasn't your typical, like, very even patterning. It was kind of, long and short repeats and stuff. It was really fun to knit, and I'm very tempted, very, very tempted to order some more, but I'm going to hold off. I have more than enough yarn to get through this year without buying anything, and I'd kind of like to see if I can do that. Can I get through a whole entire year without buying yarn? I know I can, but the new colors of Static were very tempting, and there was 1 or 2 colors in there that I would suit my brothers, but I'll see. I think I have a feeling that yarn is going to be kind of like the Felici, where they discontinue colors frequently and bring new colors in, so that it's kind of like an ever revolving, line of sock yarn. Anyway, maybe another time I will buy some, but for now I have more than enough. So yeah, I finished my brother's socks, and I think those were the only 2 projects that I had kind of in progress in the last episode. So what did I finish over Vlogmas? I think I will put up the little collage that I made of my year in total. So all the projects that I made over the entire year. I don't think I did too badly. I know in past years I've done, between, around 40 some plus projects. And in the last couple of years, I've kind of struggled to even get to 35 projects. But I'm happy with what I made last year. I think there was a nice little assortment. Over Vlogmas, I was able to make the plushie, so the Simon's cat plushie, the white cat that you see. I made that for Kira. I made some fleece blankets. I made the little felted unicorn for my friend's daughter. What else was there? I think the only other thing that I made during Vlogmas that you did not see even mentioned in the last regular episode was the gift bags. I managed to finish 4 gift bags for myself for our Christmas, for our Christmas presents that we keep within the family. So that's what I finished over Vlogmas, and then I did start, I think I'll go now into the things that I've been working on since, because there was a project that I started during Vlogmas that I was really hoping to finish by the end of the year, because it would have worked for my 2022 bingo card, but I just wasn't able to finish it, and I can share that with you now. So I think that will be a nice little segue into what I've been working on. So if you did watch Vlogmas, you would have seen that I cast on, or I guess it's crochet, so I don't know what term you use for that. But I started a project to work towards, I think I was just going to use, the square was a pattern from a book or magazine in my library. And so I had picked out this book here, and I had gone through it, and I had found a little pattern that just kind of, struck my fancy. I thought it was super cute, and I decided I was going to make it for Kira. So it's this here, and it was just a little owl bag, and it looked really easy to do. It looked like I was going to be able to use some scraps for it. I thought she'd really enjoy it. She loves playing with all her little toys, and I just thought it would be fun for her. She loves zippers too. She's really getting into zippers. She has to do her zippers herself. We have to start them, but the actual zipping up she has to do herself. And I just thought she'd have fun with a little zippered bag. So I did start it during Vlogmas, and I think I got almost all the way done. But then by the last episode, I still hadn't quite finished it. And even after Christmas, I was like, okay, I think I only had the wings to do and the little strap, and I still wasn't able to finish it by the end of the year. So I buckled down the first week or so of January and I just got it done. And so I have stuffed him just so that you can see his form more, but it is a bag, so it's usually, you know, not stuffed. But yeah, this is what it ended up looking like. I got the little wings done, and I added a little, I didn't do like the bag, like purse straps like are in the original pattern. I just did kind of a little handle to carry. You can see there's the little zipper there. And yeah, so I used all scraps, and a lot of it I was able to use up. This yarn here I completely used up. I think this was some Knit Picks Brava. You can see I actually ran out of it. I had started this, I used this purple here, and I finished the entire first wing, and then when I went to do the second wing I ran out halfway through. So what I had to do was rip out that first wing and rip it back. I had to rip it back, and then I used the yarn that I ripped out to work on the second wing, and I worked on it until the two wings were equal. And then I brought in another yarn that I thought, oh, I'm going to pull out another one of these colors. And so yeah, he's got little stripes on his wing. But I was able to use all of this yarn. I used most of this yarn here. I think I used all of this yarn even, because yeah, I had to redo this strap twice. First I ran out of yarn and it wasn't quite long enough to be like a, you know, a nice sized handle, so I had to rip it out, do less chains, and do it again. So I used all of this yarn. So I was able to get some, you know, some old scraps out of my little scrap collection, and I think he turned out super cute. And Kira has been using him before. Like, he's not officially finished and like in the toy bins and out there living his little toy life, but even over here on my desk while I've been working on him, she's grabbed it and unzipped it and stuffed things in it, and I've gone to work on it and I look inside and I've been finding things in it. So I think she will enjoy having it, and then eventually, you know, when we're going out and about, if she wants to bring some toys with her, she can kind of throw them in her little owl bag. So I finished that. That is something like a completely finished project that kind of carried over from last year, and we will see later that that will apply to my current bingo card. And then what else have I been working on? I kind of just wanted to tie off some loose ends. So I sat down for a couple of days. I wanted to buckle down and finish off this section on my mitered square blanket for 2022. So if you have watched for a while, you'll know that I have been working on this mitered square blanket for a while, many years. And each year I kind of put in squares using yarn that I've used for projects over the year. And then at the end of the year, I will block that off with a black border, and I will make a little tag for it with the year. And the idea is that this blanket will be Avery's blanket when she leaves the house to take with her, and it has all the projects that, you know, she's seen Mummy work on and that I've made for her. And then also it will have the years on each section, so you can kind of see the progression of what I was able to add each year. Some years I was able to add a lot. Some years, like especially the last few since Kira was born, the sections are pretty tiny. But I wanted to get 2022's section done so that once I start finishing sock weight projects this year, I can immediately start adding them into the blanket. So this is the little section here for 2022. You can see I was able to get about 10 squares done, blocked it off, and you can see I've got the date right there. It's a little bit smudged because what I do is I use some metal stamps with numbers, and then I kind of brush over it with nail polish so that it goes into the grooves, and then I wipe that off. And the 0 wasn't quite, it didn't press quite as nicely as the other numbers, so, but that's okay. So that's 2022 section. And then I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop up a picture. I took a picture of the blanket in its entirety on the floor because I was trying to kind of plan my next move, and I think I'm going to move to the other side of the blanket from where this section was and start filling in. There's kind of an empty rectangular space that I want to start filling in, and then I'll come back and I'll fill in the section that's under this one, so that, yeah, it's getting closer to becoming a rectangle. I think once I fill in those 2 empty rectangular sections, what I'm going to do is work kind of a border of squares all around the perimeter, and then I might call it a day. I don't think this is the kind of blanket that needs to be like a really, really huge blanket. I think it's just it just needs to kind of go over a bed or over a couch, or just be enough to kind of, you know, wrap up in a little bit. I don't think it has to be huge, but I think once I finish filling in those 2 empty sections, I will reevaluate and see how I feel. Maybe I'll do like a row around and then another row around or something like that, and work out evenly at that point. We'll see. We still have several years before Avery will be leaving the house, so I do have some time to kind of figure that out. The other thing that I worked on was I worked on the granny stripe blanket that I started. I think you might have seen it in the last episode, and then I worked on it throughout Vlogmas. And at the end of Vlogmas, what I did end up putting in all the yarn that I had from last year, but then I just kind of left it. After I finished getting all that yarn in, I just kind of let it sit. I was working on other things, and so it had all the ends just hanging around. And one of my goals for my bingo card this year was to weave in all those ends, and I managed to do that. So I think earlier this week, I think I took a couple of evenings and I just wove in all the ends. So you can see this is what it kind of looks like right now. Again, I will try and put a picture up of what it looks like laid out, but all my ends are woven in on that. So I was able to do some work on my granny stripe blanket, and now I will be able to start putting in all the minis that I received in my Advent this past December. I will be able to start putting in there. And then the only other project I have to share with you is one that I was a new cast on, and I've started my gift socks for 2023. And usually I start with my brother Owen's socks because his birthday's in February. Not that I give them to them for their birthday, but it just helps me keep track of, who's done, who do I have to do next, and, that kind of thing. So Owen's birthday is the first one that comes up in the year of all my brothers. It's in February. So his is usually the pair of socks that I cast on first. And this is what they are looking like. So you may be realizing that I decided not to participate in the Desert Vista Dyeworks Challenge this year. And I hadn't decided. Up until the end of the last year, I hadn't fully decided what I was going to do. And I just thought, okay, you know what? Come January 1st, I'm going to see how I feel. Am I really excited to cast on some Desert Vista Dyeworks socks and jump right back into the challenge? Or am I not? Because I do have enough yarn in my stash to do another 6 months. Because I did kind of like that last year where I did the first 6 months and then I was able to earn that, free skein. And then I kind of took a break for 6 months. And so my plan was to wait till January, see how I feel, and maybe do that again, or maybe not. And January 1st came, and I just had absolutely no desire to cast on Desert Vista Dyeworks socks and jump back into the challenge. I was actually kind of excited to really dive into my stash and use some of the yarns that I've always been thinking, oh, those would make really nice brother socks, or oh, those would make really nice socks for this person. But I just never got around to it because I was always making Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. So, back to these. This is what I have picked out for my brother Owen, and this is actually some turtle pearl yarns. I have 3 skeins, or 3 because they come in 50-gram sets. I have 3 sets of turtle pearl yarn in my stash. One I just received as one of my Advent gifts this past year. I have never knit with her yarn. So this was like, I have these lovely skeins of turtle pearl. I've always kind of, treasured them because they're really nice looking yarns, and I really like the colorways, but I've never knit with them. And so I picked out this one. I don't even know what this one is called. Did I save the label? Probably not. If I can find the label, or if I can look up the yarn colorways and figure out what this one is, I will put it at the bottom of the screen there. But I thought my brother Owen would enjoy these. I tend to make him the striping socks that are a little funkier, a little more unusual color combinations. And this is just the one that grabbed me that I wanted to start with first. and I'm really enjoying it. It feels like it's a bit thicker than the Desert Vista Dyeworks socks, and it's very soft. It's really pleasant yarn to work with. So I only cast this on maybe a week ago, and even with working on all the other things, when I do feel like working on socks, this is what I've been grabbing, and they've been working up pretty quickly. So this is just the first sock. I got the first sock on the way. I just finished the heel turn today, and I'm working on the foot. I started the foot today. So I could see probably finishing that sock before finishing Dennis's sock, just because the colors are nicer, they're more interesting, the yarn feels nicer. But I might try, because they're almost at the same place, I might try, you know, bouncing back and forth between them, just so that I keep working on Dennis's socks and I don't neglect them completely. So yeah, I cast that on, and I think that is the only new, like, fresh cast on that I have for January. I don't think I started any, like, actual new projects other than that. So why don't we move into my Crafty Bingo update, and just let you know how I did on my card, my final, you know, results for 2022. So I think I'll just put that up on the screen big. I don't think I'm going to talk about it too much. But you will see that I have yet to get a full blackout bingo, but each year I either do a little better or I do about the same. And I'm pretty happy with what I was able to do this year, considering that there was quite a bit of time throughout the year where there was large chunks where I just wasn't making anything. I think if I had been more consistent in my making, there would have been a few other squares that were blocked off, but I'm quite pleased with how it ended up. So yeah, that was my result for 2022. And now I thought we could talk about my card for 2023. So I will just interject here. If you are watching and you are perhaps a new viewer, you don't know what Crafty Bingo is, I encourage you to head over to the Bling Your String Ravelry group, where I have a thread all about the Crafty Bingo. And basically it's just kind of a fun little challenge that it's a very individual challenge where, like, you tell me you want to participate, I make you a card, but you put all your own goals on there, and you can make them as hard or as easy as you want, depending on how much time you have to craft, depending on your interest, depending on what kind of projects you want to do, how long it takes you to make projects. You could fit a whole bunch of goals into, like, one square, or you could take one goal, like making a sweater, and split it up among multiple squares. You'll break it down by, finish the sleeves, finish the body, finish the weaving in, doing all that. So you could really break it up and make it work for how you enjoy your crafting. There's a discussion board, there's monthly prize for participating, and it's just a fun way to kind of keep you motivated. Like, I honestly think if this past year, if I didn't have this bingo card as kind of a reference of what things I wanted to work on, or even ideas of things to work on, I think it would have been very easy for me to kind of slip into this mode of not making anything. Like, there would be no reason really for me to make anything, even though it's something that I really enjoy. So having this bingo card and having these goals that I had kind of thought of at the beginning of the year kind of gave me a direction to go when I was like, oh, I really want to make something, or I really want to work on something. What should I work on? I could look at the card and be like, oh, something for Avery. What can I make for Avery? Look through my patterns, ask her, what ideas she has. And it was really good direction that way. So I have gone through, I have decided, it took me a couple of days in early January, to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. Usually there are some goals that I carry over. There's usually projects that I don't finish the previous year that I carry over to the next year if it's something I really want to finish. There's usually some very generalized goals that I carry on year to year just because it motivates me to use certain things in my collection. If I'm looking down, it's because I have my little card brought up here so I could look at the individual goals. But I think what I'm going to do is just scooch the screen over a little bit so I can try and fit a nice good size card up there so that you can follow along. Okay, hopefully that'll be enough space that I can put up card. And then, yeah, we can see what my goals are for this year and how I'm doing already. I'm already have been able to knock off 2 squares, as you will see. So the first square, I'm going to start at the top, go left to right and top to bottom as usual. So the first one is socks for Owen, and you can see that I have not finished them, but I have started those. So there is a little work in progress, you know, little icon on there. Next, it's sew Christmas PJ bags. Okay, so if you followed along in Vlogmas, and if you've been following along for a couple of years, you will know that the last 2 years I've been working on gift bags for each member of our family. So fabric bags that I can use instead of wrapping paper to wrap our gifts up every year, just to cut down on waste and just, you know, kind of personalize everything. And they've been working really well for us. Now, one of the other things that we do every Christmas Eve is the girls get some Christmas Eve PJs and a new ornament to put on the tree. And for the last couple of years, I've just used some Christmas themed gift boxes that I got at like the dollar store, because that's just what I've had. And this year I noticed, especially with Avery's PJs, because she's getting bigger, it's getting to the point where I think it's going to get to where the PJs and like they don't fit very well in the box. And also the boxes, the design on the boxes don't really, you know, they don't really go with either one of the girls' personalities or the themes that, you know, I've got going with the gift bags, or they just kind of seem a little random. So I was like, you know what I'd really like to do this year is I'd like to sew a bag for each of them that kind of coordinates with their gift bag themes, but is different, that I can, going forward, can put their PJs in and their ornament in that they can then open. So I can just use these every year. This will be their PJ bags. So speaking of those, I actually have the fabric. There was one day that I sat down and I was looking for Christmas fabric online, and I was able to find an online fabric store that had Christmas fabric that had a pattern that would work both for Avery and for Kira and kind of go with their pre-existing gift bags. So if you followed along this year, you'll know that Avery's gift bags are cat themed. And so for her PJ bag, I found this fabric here. Do I have it upside down? I think it's totally upside down there. So this is going to be her PJ bag fabric. And so it will kind of go with the rest of her gift bags, but still be different, so that'll work. And then what I found for Kira, because Kira's Christmas bags or her gift bags are kind of, they're turquoise, the main color is turquoise with accents of red, and they're little kind of woodland creatures. There's some like foxes and owls, and then there's yetis on there. It's just kind of a whimsical, like, you know, animal, Christmassy woodland animal print with yetis thrown in. And then the main thing was that it was turquoise with red accents. So I thought it might be really fun to find something that was red, and then I could do a turquoise accent, like for the lining. And I was able to find these little kind of wintry polar bears. So this is going to be the fabric that I use for Kira's PJ bags. So got that. I think I have the lining fabrics already. Those should not be very long. I'm going to do them drawstring bags because, I mean, they're just PJs. I really don't care. I put them out. I usually put them out Christmas Eve anyway. So if they peek at them, whatever, I'm just going to do drawstring bags. But yeah, those should not take very long. So the next square is to make a needle felted ornament. And if you were watching your Vlogmas or during Vlogmas, you would have seen that I made that little needle felted unicorn for my friend's daughter. And that's the first time that I've kind of jumped back into needle felting in years. I couldn't tell you the last time I needle felted something. I really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the process of it. I have lots of needle felting supplies. It was a really quick project. Only took me like 2 days working on it. And so I was like, you know what I'd really like to do as just like a fun little throw-on goal is to make a needle felted ornament. I have other needle felted ornaments on our tree, some that I've bought, some that people have given to us, and I just like the look of them. I think they're really cute. They're very durable. And right now we're still using only non-breakable ornaments on our tree because of Kira, and they're perfect. If she grabs one off because she wants to play with it, like she can't do anything to it. They're very, 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 very hardy. So I want to try making a needle felted ornament this year, and I thought that would be a fun little goal to put on my card. So next is random project, and you'll see a couple of these. I think, yeah, I have 4 of them on my card, just because this allows me room for just random little things that come up through the year where I'm like, oh, I want to make that. Does it fit on my card? No. Oh, I have this random project. I can put it there. So it allows me some flexibility in projects that might just pop up, or that I might see someone do and be like, oh, I want to make that. So yeah, I have a random project thing. The next one is to weave all the ends in on the 2022 yarns of my granny stripe blanket. As we discussed, I have finished that, so I was able to knock that square off. Moving down to the next row, I have spin 2 skeins of fiber. This might be a little bit of a stretch. If you watched last year, you'll know that I did finish a skein near the end of the year. I think I shared it in my last regular episode, but that fiber was literally on my wheel for at least 2 years, if not longer, before I finished it. So telling myself that I'm going to do 2 skeins this year might be a stretch. But the reason I did that is because one of the very few rules, like I don't have a lot of rules for the Crafty Bingo Challenge, but one of the very few rules that I have is that one project cannot complete 2 squares. So one singular project cannot knock off 2 squares. One project can knock off several squares if they are multi-part squares, like they have multiple parts to finish them, but it cannot complete 2 single squares. So if I had said spin 1 skein of fiber, and then the main thing was because over Vlogmas I did work on, actually it's right here, so I can show it to you. I started another skein of fiber. So I have this this bobbin of fiber, and I need to do another one to do a 2-ply. And so if I finish that skein of fiber, or if I finish that skein, that would work towards this goal. Now, if I had it as spin 1 skein of fiber, that's the only square that it could work towards. Because technically it would also work for finishing a previous project, so a work in progress from 2022, it also works for that. So if I only had spin 1 skein of fiber, I'd have to pick which square that I put it on. But by saying spin 2 skeins of fiber, it's now a multi-part goal. And so finishing that one project, I can put both on that square as well as finish an old whip. Now, yes, it does mean that I have to make another skein of fiber to finish that goal, but considering, how much fiber I have in my stash, doing another skein of fiber isn't, it's probably a good idea to get more use out of my fiber. So I decided to do 2 skeins of fiber to encourage me to finish that one that I already started, as well as make another one. The next square is socks for Evan, so that's another pair of brother socks. The next square is make 2 patterns from my PDF library. This is something I usually have on every year just because, we all buy the PDF patterns as they come out, or at least I used to every time one came out and I saw, oh, I really like that, I want to make that, I would just buy it. And now they're just sitting in my online library, never to be touched. So I try and encourage myself to use 1 or 2 of those. The next one is finish an old whip, and I finished that. That is the owl that I finished. Next, 2 more pairs of socks. So you'll see kind of in the diagonal down the center of my card, I figured out all the gift socks that I tend to make every year. So there's certain people that I just make socks for every year, and I put those down individually. And then I added 2 more pairs. So I do have some older pairs that are like projects from past years that are just kind of sitting. You'll know my micro stripe socks that I talked about in the last episode is one of those. Dennis's socks would actually apply for this because I don't have a square that says finish Dennis's socks, so his would work for that. So I just wanted to have a square where I could put some extra socks if I make some extra socks. Going down to the next row, we have another random project. We have make something for Kira. So every year, at least the last 2 or 3 years, I've had make something for each of the girls on my card. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but we'll figure it out as the year goes on. The next one is add all current yarn into my granny stripe blanket. So all the Advent yarn that I received this past year over Advent, I want to add that into my blanket. make something for Avery. I asked her recently if she had any ideas. She did not, so I don't know what that's going to be yet. Next row, we have make six dishcloths. I always make some for gifts around the holidays, so I just throw that out. That tends to be an easy square to do because they don't take very long. So if I get to the end of the year and there's some squares that I want to finish for some, quick gratification, that tends to be a good one. The next one, socks for Rebecca, so that's someone else that I tend to make socks for every year. Her birthday is in June, so I will probably work on those before then. Another finish an old whip. I have a whole bunch of those. So I mentioned I've got my microstripe socks. I know I have an old shawl that I have sitting around. I have that sweater. Do you remember the pink sweater, the short sleeve tee? I have that I have to work on. So this is another type of square that I tend to like to have on my card, just to encourage me to revisit some of those older projects that kind of got put aside. Then we have socks for Ian. So his birthday is in November, so I will work on those later in the year. Another random project, another old whip square. Use a pattern from a book or a magazine. So again, I'm going to try and go through my books. I recently did kind of a de-stash. I went through all my knitting books and just really picked out, I don't know if you'll be able to see it behind me. No, not really. Well, you can see kind of one section right there. So I have a section right here, and then I have an equal section. Can you see it? Yeah, right there behind my little Princess Bride guys. I had these two sections on my bookshelf that I could kind of fit books into, and so I went through all my books and I picked that was the space that I had, so I could only keep the books that would fit into that space, and anything else I was just going to donate to like our local library or something. So I've picked out books that I have looked through and that still have projects that interest me. And so this one, to make a pattern from a book or magazine, hopefully will encourage me to visit those books and pick something out to make from them. We have another random project, and then we have sew gift bags for Kira. So if you watch Vlogmas, you will have seen that last year, so no, sorry, not 2022, but 2021 is when I made gift bags for most of my family. And yeah, I think everybody except myself. And with the fabric that I chose for Kira, I was only able to get one big bag out of it. And this year when I was wrapping her presents, I was able to put, maybe it was 1 or 2 bags, I don't remember. But I was able to put one of her gifts in the gift bags, but then I had to wrap a few. And so this year I'd like to make a few more bags. The fabric I used for her, I got from Spoonflower, so I can order some more of it. I haven't done that yet, but my plan is to order more of the same fabric and then make some smaller bags to go along with that big bag, so that I don't have to wrap as many presents this coming Christmas, as I did this past Christmas. And then the final square is make socks for my mom. Yeah, she is another person on my socks list that I try to make socks for every year. So there we have it. That is my 2023 Crafty Bingo card. Let me know what you think of the goals that I picked for this year. Have you joined the Crafty Bingo challenge this year? I know a bunch of you join every year. If you haven't and you're interested, like I said, just go over to the Ravelry group. You can join at any point during the year and just post a comment in the thread saying you want to join, and I will make you a card. But yeah, I'm really excited about this year. I think these goals I think they're pretty achievable. Will I fill up my entire card? Probably not. I rarely do, but I think I'm going to have fun trying to get as many done as possible. Hopefully this year I will be able to stay on a little more on track with putting up some more podcast episodes throughout the year instead of just kind of going MIA and waiting for the end of the year, because I find that coming on here and sharing with you guys my projects kind of keeps me, working on things. So maybe I will fill up my entire card this year for the first time. Who knows? But I think that is everything that I have to share with you today. I hope you guys are doing really well. I hope you had a really nice holiday season, since I haven't talked to you since the end of the Vlogmas. I hope your January is going well so far. It's hard to believe that it's almost over already. But yeah, I think the next thing we are prepping up for is going to be a Valentine's Day. And that is about it. So until the next time that I talk to you, I hope you have a lovely weekend or week or day or night, whatever you're doing. I hope you're getting lots of lots of crafting done, and I will talk to you very, very soon.